I am adding sexual reproduction to the simulation.
This is Wessel, creator of the game The Sapling, a life simulation game which aims to let you create and design creatures on a faraway alien planet. With your creatures having the ability to grow, evolve, and die on their own without you having to do anything or go into a creation menu every 5 seconds to look at a new spore. The entire simulation lets you go from a basic plant life and microbes to a fully fledged land-dwelling species in a matter of hours, and with their recent update, Wessel added sex to their game. So let's do what we always do here at Cygnus MC and gently escort this wild-haired developer from his desk to our comfy couch for an interview.
So my name is Wessel Stoop. I am the developer of the video game The Sapling.
Hi there, I'm Lunar and welcome to Cygnus MC, where we not only review games, but we also interview the faces behind it. But with that all being said, give me a little sub and let us continue. Many of you might be familiar with the life sim genre. Games like The Sims and Animal Crossing fall under this general umbrella, but there is a smaller niche of games that try to simulate life itself. Of course, you have the classic Spore, which came out in 2008 with middling reception, but there is also the other game Thrive, a free and open source game which is also about evolution, more likely its self-stage. But while the former is a more gamified version of evolution, and the latter is a more realistic approach to it, the Sapling is, to my mind, more of a middle ground.
Whatever I did, I saw like a potential for a cool simulation game. Everything I learned at school, like, oh, this could be a cool simulation game. And I've always been interested in evolution theory. So I always thought, okay, this would be a cool topic for a simulation game. A few years ago, I wanted to have like a project somewhere, like a solo project where I did everything myself. And I thought, okay, what is the most ambitious idea that I have, the most ambitious thing I can do for this solo project? And this is what I came up with.
It offers a few scenarios to just get your feet wet and get some of that what I call classical gameplay in your system. You know, the typical do objective A to progress through the objective B, that kind of stuff. But the game truly comes to life in the sandbox mode. Right from the bat, you see a lot, and I do mean a lot of options, to customize your planet from the get-go. From terrain height, ocean depth, the speed of the wind, average temperatures, if the temperature has seasons or not, and of course, my favorite of the bunch, you can make it have rings. These things drastically impact the development of your life on your planet. With rings, for example, creating a cold barrier on your planet that your species will need to evolve to get past and thrive. The cool thing is, they will actually do that. Eventually, they will randomly mutate into a gene that will allow them to swim past that cold barrier and then thrive on the other side. Plants will also do this, mutate, and grow, with the simple plants evolving into much larger fruit-bearing ones or spore-spewing ones that then eventually evolve into the grass, covering the entire landline. And with the scary and sexy update on the beta branch right now, live for everyone to test out, the game now features shells for protection, venom for infection, and hormones for attraction. With many and many more features slated to come after this.
Right now, I'm really enjoying working on this game, and that is because of the interaction. So I work a little bit on something, and I get a response which I really like, and then I'm all excited to work on something again. But I'm not sure how long that cycle will go on. Maybe it will go on for years or even decades. But I imagine that there will be a time that I don't have big ideas anymore for a next big update. And once I stop releasing new content, it's like the interaction will also stop, so there might be like a negative feedback loop at that point. So maybe then it will stop. But so far I'm enthusiastic.
Okay, but how does this game play? I hear you ask already. Yes, James. I mean, your thoughts. Well, I was just getting through that. When booting up this game, you will be given two options, scenario or custom. I recommend starting with scenarios, as this is a great tutorial for both the builder and to just generally get to know how the game works. Starting with the first one, where you are given a basic tutorial on how to make algae and plants. Nothing too big. The next one is a little bit more challenging and took me a while. The island is divided into 3. A lower, calm valley ideal for your starting plant to stake roots in, and then start to evolve with stronger roots. The goal here is to get your plants on top of the higher peaks, which will require those stronger roots to grow, because the temperature up there is very low, but the wind is very strong. To do this, you must create a plant, then let it evolve enough until one of them mutates longer roots. You will then be allowed to either create a new plant from scratch with those roots attached, or just mutate your previous one with those roots, and then just plop down your now long-rooted monstrosity on top of the challenge. The next one involves creatures, where your task is to populate this island with algae and plants for 100 years to then facilitate the first animals to be born and of course survive. The other option I was talking about was the custom scenario, which features that giant ass planet editor. And this comes with my first little criticism / nitpick. This sandbox version of the game is more akin to something like Universe Sandbox. It's a great tool to see what you can do under some circumstances, but it is still just a tool. It's not very gamified. But let's be real, it's really cool to see the algae that you designed while being smashed on a Friday night has now evolved legs and eyes and can eat other fish that swim around. And I'll be real here, that's kinda it, really. There are hundreds of ways, of course, these animals can evolve, which each having their benefits and drawbacks, beginning from just the basic mouth and fins. Your creature then chooses an evolutionary line. The larger fins give you faster swimming speed, but you will consume a lot of energy doing so. A large mouth might give you lots of biting power, but you will lose the ability to just filter feed from the algae and lose that substance. And while this happens, your creature will also just evolve a rudimentary brain. For example, it might learn to swim away when it feels cold or threatened, thus evolve faster swimmers and a thicker skin. But alternatively, it might learn to fight when it's finding other creatures. This makes the species extremely aggressive and then evolve a more predatory body. And all of this still comes from a single man's wild and somewhat unhinged dream. Wessel, who has a lot of experience in the field of machine learning.
So I didn't study biology. I don't have a degree in the biology or anything like that. I did read some books, and I think like my main source of knowledge is interesting YouTube channels. There are a lot of interesting like science YouTube channels that I really watch every second of, really study every second of. But I'm always a bit afraid that when I'm talking about these subjects, that then the real biologists, the people who had the degrees, will cringe and oh no, that's when somebody's talking about a topic. But you are more knowledgeable about that topic. That's always like, oh yeah, it's almost right. That's so I always imagine biologists watching or playing my game with these kind of feelings. But so far, I don't have any feedback like that. So I have a feeling like a very large part of my audience are biologists, and they seem excited instead of annoyed. So far so good.
And I think we could all learn from that, right? Just pick up a book once in a while. Timmy, stop doom scrolling on Twitter or TikTok all the time. I'm getting old, aren't I? Be real here. Either way, it's amazing that a single developer can achieve this much, but maybe you, like me, are a bit wary of something made in Unity. To some, it's almost the mark of the beast, but Wessel seems to have a good reason to use it, even though it has some performance problems.
Yeah, okay, but the answer to that is really different. It's I think separate from the simulation. When I started, I had programming experience, but not with C# yet. And at the time, Unity also had JavaScript, or they called it JavaScript. It is more like similar to JavaScript. And I knew JavaScript at the point, so that to me that was like a simple stepping stone. Back then, I didn't know that it was going to be a huge project. Of course, then I would have not taken that into account. But when it's just like making small steps, like okay, I want to try that. Let's do a first experiment. Oh, this engine has JavaScript. Let's start there. So that was one reason to pick Unity, and also because back then I think maybe still Unity had a name as being like easy to approach. A lot of documentation online, or help online. So that's why I started there.
But hey, at the end of the day, an engine is an engine. If it works, it works. We can't all just create our own coding languages and then make our own engine to run on top of it, right? Foxile. Sorry, I just needed to get that out of my system. But anyways, let's just conclude today's video. The Sapling, to my mind, is another game with a lot of potential in the hands of not only a talented but extremely experienced developer when it comes to machine learning. And for just $16, you can have a very fun couple of afternoons just creating a creature, seeing how much of an abomination its children will end up being, and then just scrapping the whole thing. But the Sapling represents more than that to me. This is someone who has had a lifelong interest in biology and decided to combine his degree with his passion, and then created an even bigger passion project out of it. It is something we all should strive for, in my opinion.
Yeah. So the main thing I have to say is just build. And one thing I often notice, also for people who are like interested about maybe going into game development, is that they think of themselves as like idea guys. Like I'm the person with all of these idea, and this idea that I have is really special. What's he called again? Linus Torvalds, like the creator of Linux, has this famous quote: "Talk is cheap, show me the code." Which really resonates with me. I think ideas are not that special. What's special is realizing them. So stop dreaming and start actually building. And if you don't know how to build, just follow a tutorial or 2 or 3. It's all free on the internet these days. There's nothing stopping you from just building.
On a personal note, this rings really true to me as well, as I didn't know anything about editing or YouTubing. But now I'm lucky enough to have you guys sit here and watch my silly little stupid videos online. But anyways, with that being said, check out the Sapling in the link below. I was Lunar, you were very awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Thank you to all my Patreons and Pebbles. As always, $1 a month will get you access to the full interview with Wessel Stroop, as well as all the others I've done so far with the mod developers and game developers, and you will get early access as well. Yeah, this was a cool one. I've interviewed him around October, so it took a while to create this. I had a lot on my plate. But yeah, thanks again to Drowned for editing this one. This is going to be sent right after I done this. So hey, maybe in the comments, let me know how you like his style. Right, he's doing really good. The Voxel video was also by him, and it was amazing in my mind. But yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.